Wow. I could not have imagined that we'd still be here in 10 years. That in itself is quite remarkable. The biggest thank you really goes to the men of this community and also the women who support them, the families that support them to do this incredible work that we do.
So we've come along today, obviously, 10-year anniversary, which is quite amazing, and come along with the kids. It's lovely.
To see the men then also with their families and how everyone interacts with each other and what it's like we create something bigger through coming together as well.
I think it was really, really nice. I think it was like a really nice atmosphere and everything. I think it was just really friendly. Everybody's really friendly and kind.
We're bigger than the people we think we are, and together we can be great and make a difference.
Yes, I'm here to meet the community really and hear a lot about people on weekends or names of people. It's just nice to be able to really connect with them and meet their families as well.
The men presented their partners with a rose and the children.
Just thank you. We have now secured nearly 250,000 hours of volunteer time that has been put into the endeavour to make it what it is. So thank you. Thank you.
So the fact that there's the mentors volunteering, and I'm volunteering now as well, it's just beautiful. It just shows that people really care. They're not after money for helping you. They're just there for you and to help you and nothing else.
We can really start with young men that are really troubled, and you know, from the brief things I've heard about the lives that they've had, they need support and they haven't got holding families around them, they haven't got their parents there, and it's like, so who will do that? And it feels like Band of Brothers is the community does that. Go very much back to history and ancient times of when, you know, it was in a tribe and it was the tribe that would support the young men through their initiations, not just their parents, because it's a bigger job than that. And so it really feels like a Band of Brothers is there to not just run a weekend for them, but then it's there for actually as long as the men want it.
I've talked to some young men myself and I've heard how it's been for them, and it's very, very touching. It's so important.
I wasn't grieving properly. I wasn't able to grieve for my mum, and Band of Brothers really showed me how to do that and do it in a healthy way. And since I've done my quest, I've only had good thoughts about my mum, and I can grieve, I can still cry, but it's not necessarily me spiralling out of control crying. It's a nice being with myself crying because to let myself grieve and to honour and remember my mum.
The man I first met, same lovely chap, but quite closed, and for me communication is quite important. Not just standard communication, but kind of proper important conversation that means something. And when I re-met him once he'd been in Band of Brothers, what I saw was somebody who was really connected to their emotions, somebody who thought deeply and wasn't scared to have those kinds of conversations. I met a brave man. Yeah, it was something quite special, quite magic, really.
Now there's a huge number of people that he could call on individually or the group as a whole. If he's ever feeling a bit disconnected emotionally, it doesn't come out on me or anyone else in the house. He just goes to a Thursday meeting with Band of Brothers, gets back in tune with what's going on for him. You know, recalibrates himself. And that just means that, yeah, it's not put onto me.
I came out of my first argument with Nigel feeling elated that there was a different way. I went back to work. I was like, oh my God, ladies, we had a row. It was amazing.
We are about extending a hand to young men in our society who are absolutely full of potential and yet who systemically have found themselves at a place in our society where their life is just not working for them. And my second thank you really goes to all of those courageous young men who were willing to take that step into the unknown, coming off like a prison sentence or probation requirement or whatever it was, and were willing to take the risk when they met one of us to hear the call and step into the unknown.
It was one of the best experiences of my life. Honestly, it's transformed me into a better version of myself who I can be proud to live with. Whereas before I was very ashamed of who I was. I wasn't open about it. I was, I just wasn't myself. I wasn't a happy human being, and now I really am. I really, really am.
Being part of this organisation and this community gives me a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning. And without that, I do not know where I would be in these dangerous times. And so my hope is that over the next 10 years, we can reach even more men in even more geographic locations right across the UK and keep giving them access to that same sense of fellowship, of meaning and of purpose that we have all enjoyed. And that's all I know how to do.
I guess before Band of Brothers, I'd never really had a vision on what a man is meant to be like, or I'd never thought or tried to act. I've just always been clouded on that vision.
I'm seeing young men trying to be the head of a household without any means of providing for their families, and I think that is something that is really dangerous for self-esteem, obviously, but for the entire family unit, it affects the children in that situation going forwards. And what Band of Brothers does is gives these young men avenues to explore their emotions, how they're feeling about that. It gives them the mentoring, gives them the emotional support and the resource to go out there and try to change their circumstances. And being part of that community, they've got the masculine bond that they might not have had before, which can only be great for the women and the children in that family because it's all brought into the home. So any small change that Band of Brothers can make for those young men will be a change they make for their partners and their children.
But now, I can tell being a man could be a very simple thing. So for me personally, it's to be the best dad that I can to my daughter, and to provide and be there and be part of a community just like this.
Because it would be really nice to know that if I got into trouble, there would always be Band of Brothers.
There's loads of kids here. Is this the next generation? Because they're all learning from their dads. And Saul, who's the older one, is already learning from Tom that you can be, adventure dad and do loads of cool, fun stuff, but you can also be grounded and connected and talk about your emotions, good bits, bad bits, and everything in between. So there's quite a lot of hope there, I think. So yeah, let's see. Maybe in another 20 years' time they'll be at this event, having been, involved at the weekends.
I bless you for your courage in sharing your stories and your journey, some of your pain, some of the difficulty, some of the challenge that you've experienced, to people from probation, from the government, people that really need to hear about the possibility of what we do really impacting more and more men and young men. And you've been a beacon for young men. You've been the exemplars for other young men to say, this is what I could achieve.
To see his daughter coming up to him when he was in the circle, she was so moved at such a young age, and he's 27 and he's come back from the brink and is making a stand for others like him and moving forward. That is it. He's got something, and everybody can have that when they choose. It's the choice.
When I cry, it's okay because my dad just makes me feel way better, and it's really nice.
I actually got offered a job to be a support worker for people with learning disabilities, which is absolutely amazing. And my lifetime goal is to become a psychiatric nurse, because that's what my mum did before she committed suicide. She worked in Hellingly, and Yeah, so being given the opportunity to help people in need is a massive, massive thing for me. It's not about the money, it's surely about making a difference.
My experience is actually that men also really want to transform and to support and be of service. That's what I've noticed, and that's what I see with the men here. It's like they have a common cause and a mission that they found themselves that calls them to step up in their lives, not just with a Band of Brothers, but I suspect in every area of their life, to step forward. They meet regularly for their own well-being as well as to mentor the young men, and I just think that that's creating change, and it's heartfelt change. I mean, you see it here, the men are connected to their emotions, and that for me is what we talk about, the feminine rising up, and for me it's the feminine rising up in everyone. And to see that here, that's practiced here, that they are connected to their emotions, they bring their heart to their communications.
They don't go on technology a lot, they're more like wilderness friendly.
Every time he's at Band of Brothers, he comes back much happier, much easier to deal with. So it's really good, it's really helped him, I think.
So I'm moved by the openness of my partner to really meet in his heart, to have deep conversations, to really connect with what his needs are or what's happening within the relationship, having challenging conversations which are heartfelt and connected emotionally. And I think that a lot of that is to do with the Band of Brothers.
Alongside that, I then have the permission to do the same as a woman. So what makes me vibrant and potent and powerful as a woman, that's what he expects of me, because he's doing the same.
I've tried everything on him. He's not afraid of anything.
You know, to see the changes in the young men that are here this weekend, to really see them blessing and taking charge, taking responsibility, see them with their children and just really loving them and being there for them. And I suspect that if a Band of Brothers hadn't been holding them, their lives would be very different.
If I need to talk to him about something, then he'll like treat me a bit older than I am, and he'll kind of like value my opinion more, and it's just really nice for that reason.
I'm going on around this time, I feel there's no one to save me. This all or nothing really got a way of driving me crazy. I need somebody to heal, somebody to know, somebody to have, somebody to hold. It's easy to say, it's never the same. And I guess I kinda like the way you numbed all the pain. Now the day bleeds in the nightfall, and you're not here. Get me through it all, let me go down, then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love.
I would like to see much more a Band of Brothers, all across the country, and worldwide, really. There's so many young men really, really struggling at the moment, and I think this is something that's just so supportive and so life-changing. And I want that for my daughters when they have relationships with men, that they can, they'll find men who are doing their work.
Band of Brothers has saved my life, and it's truthfully saved my life, and is continuing to save lives around me. And to be a part of that, I could cry. I could cry now. It's just so amazing to be a part of. Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Somebody to know, somebody to heal, somebody to have, just to know how it feels. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. And I guess I kinda like the way you help me escape. Now the day bleeds in the nightfall, and you're not here. Get me through it all, let me go down, then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love.
Seeing how for the children and the younger people here, seeing how the men have acknowledged each other, watching as the children were watching the men tell each other how much they respected each other, loved each other, blessed each other, were grateful for their skills. So I think knowing that there's so few spaces where children can watch men be open about their feelings in a very safe space, that was really special.
I let my guard down, then you pulled her up. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love.
Just the power of the work we do and how it really works on a psychological level and so many different levels. It's absolutely beautiful, and I couldn't be happier that I found it.
Come on, Everest, come.